How can a sensation exist without a body? There's only one place to go for that answer. That's right to the sensation. It'll show you everything. There's going to be sensations. There's going to be changes in sounds, changes in sensations. There may be familiar experiences during meditation, pressure in the head or a certain emotion that comes up. There will be unfamiliar experiences as well. And if we're willing to forego the need to identify the experiences as foreign or intimate, then the meditation will naturally occur. It will naturally deepen and clarify. So it can help us to just take a moment to notice the mental processes, any mental processes that may be occurring. These thoughts, or maybe not even fully formed thoughts, but something like fluctuations in the field of consciousness. Just noticing. Now, it could be formed thoughts. We could have thoughts about what we were doing before we came in this room. We may have memories of something that's of significance in our life recently. We might have some thoughts about where we're going to go after we leave this room. All of these thoughts are essentially neutral. They don't point to anything outside of themselves. And if they arise in meditation, then they are meditation. They are meditative. So if thoughts are noticed in this way, just notice that you don't have to push or pull on them. You don't have to grasp a thought, perseverate over a thought, nor do you have to push a thought away or make it an object. Just let them come and go and stay as long as they stay. A common type of thought during meditation is a sort of monitoring. Not just during meditation, actually, but during meditation, often it's uncovered and becomes obvious. There's something that wants to categorize our experience right now. Almost as if we're talking to ourselves to take notes so we can think about it later, or talk to our friends about it later, or rejoice in what a mystical experience we had. We can notice thoughts that are already preparing to do that. Or just very simply defining. Like a thought that's defining your meditative experience as relaxing, as samadhi, as a certain state that you're familiar with or not familiar with. And these are also just thoughts, label thoughts. Notice them fully without pushing or pulling. When we don't push or pull on any single thought, then that thought can be experienced as the totality of consciousness. Because there really is nothing pulling back from thought. There's no way to pull back from thought. There's just thought. And then when thought is just thought, and there's no distance made, no effort made, then thought is just thought, and it's also just consciousness. And consciousness has no boundaries. It leaves nothing out. It doesn't miss anything. It doesn't crave anything. It doesn't avoid anything. Avoidance is a thought. It doesn't define anything, because definitions are thoughts. So touching into consciousness, whether it's obvious or not in the moment, is touching into infinity, touching into that place where there are no divisions whatsoever. There is no coming and going. Noticing the primacy of the experience of consciousness. It's primary to everything you've ever thought, believed, and doubted. All those years of thought have not altered the fundamental experience of consciousness one bit, because it's unassailable. Just like no matter how many waves there are, a wave will not destroy the ocean, a wave will not scare the ocean, a wave will not change the ocean. The oceanic nature is primary. So when we acknowledge or notice the naturalness of this experience, then everything proceeds from that naturalness. Meditation, the experience of unbound consciousness, proceeds from and arises from spontaneity itself, from the recognition of what's already always the case. Could never not be the case. You can't fall out of this, and you can't regain it, because it's always just been the primary experience. And as I mentioned, it's perfectly accommodating of all appearance, sounds, sensations. I don't know if you can appreciate that oceanic nature of conscious experience right now. Then you may notice, as we explore other sense fields, that essentially all of those qualities are already there. The quality of spontaneity, the quality of luminosity and intimacy, and the quality of perfect accommodation. Consciousness accommodates all thought forms. Sound accommodates the entirety of experience. In the same way, we merge or recognize that we don't have to merge with the conscious experience because it's primary. We may also notice with the sound field right now, these exact qualities are there. In sound, in hearing, it's already exactly as it is. It requires nothing to go out to it or ascertain or maintain. Take in the sound field as an ocean of sound without labels, and even without the subtle labels of directionality, near and far, quiet, loud. If that's hard or doesn't seem simple to set that aside, it's okay. But if you're able to just set that aside You may notice that the sounds, the ambient sounds, including the hum of the room and movements and sounds outside and the voice, they require no maintenance. They require not even a perceiver. They don't have a source, nor do they have a destination. The appearance is perfectly managed in itself, perfectly appearing as itself. It's perfectly releasing. There's no residue whatsoever. You may hear ringing in the ears, like a nada sound. This is common when we explore presence in the sound field. And that is just like any other sound. Each sound is the sound field. We don't have to pick and choose sounds. In fact, we can't. All picking and choosing does, or I'll say parent picking and choosing, is it turns our attention into the thoughts again. So there's no picking and choosing when it comes to sound. There's just what's heard. Exactly as it is. Exactly where it is, which is indefinite or indefinable. The beauty of the indefinable nature of sound is that because it has no specific location, you don't have to locate it. It is too intimate to locate. That could be a point of inquiry. What is too intimate to locate? Wherever that takes you is the right place. Now, just staying with your experience as you listen. This may or may not be in your experience, and if it's not, don't manufacture it. It's not a problem. But you may notice something like energetic waves. They may be slow, almost like ocean currents. It may be unclear whether they're felt or heard or seen or cognized. And that's okay. But if they feel rather primary to all experience, then this is a very good attunement. The waves may also morph between sense fields, between sound and sensation in the body, or even sensation not in the body. And to the degree it's possible, without rejecting the ocean of consciousness, or without rejecting the ocean of sound. We can also take in sensations in the body. I use the term the body for a starting location. It may not feel like the sensations are actually in the body, but they're certainly there. They're certainly appearing somehow. You may notice sensations feel like something like the center, chakras, chest or gut. They may be vague, ill-defined. They may be light. They may be heavy. They may feel unmoving, or they may feel undulating, wave-like, or they may just be variations in the carrier wave of energy that runs through everything and every non-thing. So let your attention very naturally and spontaneously explore those sensation fields. It may help to attune to the breath. Just notice the changing sensations as the breath goes in and out. You may not have to do that at all. As we rest attention in these sensations, wherever it feels most pertinent for you, perhaps in the chest, notice the sensations don't need you to notice them. They don't need you to manufacture them. They don't need you to maintain them. They're just doing their thing. Perfectly innocent. Perfectly simple. Sensations may feel homogeneous. They may feel granular or effervescent. Any of that is perfectly okay, just as it is. There's no need to make distance, and there's no need to merge, because there is no vantage point in sensation. Sensation is already merged with everything. The sensation is already free of all defilements. You may notice some sensations in the head or face, perhaps in the forehead or scalp. You may notice that those sensations don't require a body map. You may imagine a head or a forehead initially when hearing that, and as you dial into the sensations, you can even set aside the body map. How can a sensation exist without a body? There's only one place to go for that answer. That's right to the sensation. It'll show you everything. And it only speaks its own exact language right now. That language is being created as it goes, and it's being destroyed. It's the language of perfection. Perfection of experience. perfection of appearance. You may notice sensations in the jaw, mouth, tongue, front of the face, lips. This may be cool or warm, buzzing, or deeply still. But let the sensations show you through immediate direct experience. You can't actually experience sensations from any distance at all. It's impossible. There is no distance. There's just sensation. So the sensations in the face and the nose and the lips and the jaw, if we're able to set aside that body map, those labels and locations, and recognize that the sensation is still there, still here. You may also notice it's not apart from the sensations in the forehead or the scalp or the back of the head. As these labels drop, the boundaries drop. And that sensation just shines forth. And it shines into itself. It's completely illuminating, but it's also the illumination and it's also the illuminated. So it's completed already. And it's also ever fluctuating. So you can find where appearance and disintegration meet perfectly. And it sounds like this. This is where birth meets death so perfectly that the unborn and undying are revealed now. And it sounds like this. And it feels like this. You may notice sensations in the neck or throat. But wherever you're called to feel, let it happen. You don't necessarily have to move your attention if it feels more natural to keep it in the head space or the heart space. But you may notice something in that neck space. There are energetic channels here between mind and heart in the relative. A lot of deep trauma, developmental trauma gets stuck here in the throat. But it's not stuck in the sensations. So go to the sensations. Find out what can never be traumatized, can never be lost, doesn't need healed. And we're not overlooking anything. We're just looking closer. You may notice energies that want to move, but they haven't been able to move, maybe for many years. When we directly perceive what that is made out of through the miracle of sensation, those channels can open. They don't have to. They open on their own time. So we're not trying to force anything. But you may feel what I'm pointing to. and the unblocking, if it's not happening in this exact moment, is underway. You don't have to be a gatekeeper. You can let the gatekeeper rest. There is no between head and heart, or mind and heart. The heart and mind are at essence exactly the same. So we're given this gift of being able to recognize an apparent block, an energetic block. And when we recognize that it's fundamentally empty and we don't avoid it, it's the key. Avoidance of looking closely enough is what keeps the block in place. So everything is penetrated naturally, spontaneously, and simply. Any sensations around the neck, throat, jaw, face, head, you may notice they have an ability to coalesce as one. Could be a vast one. Could be a 0.0 distance one. But that 0.0 distance does not exist in space. And it also exists everywhere. If we are able to take in the entirety of the heart space through the sensation field, we may notice a big space, a truly vast space. But it's vast both through expansion and it's vast through intimacy of experience. If this becomes conceptual for you, just go right back to the sensation in the chest. You can follow quality of sensations from the skin surface, where you feel your clothing touching skin, deeper into the body wall, ribs, center of the chest, and then set aside the body map and their mirror sensation. And this sensation field also cannot be fundamentally blocked. It's already here. It's already the case. And it's perfectly managed in its own expression. So it does not make distinctions between the sensations of the chest, the neck, the head. You may notice a sense cloud that has nothing to do with the body. No body, no chairs, no walls, no ceiling, no room, no city streets, no city. Just sensation. How freeing is it to not have to manage the world? How freeing is it to not have to create a world to manage? How freeing is it to not have to remember the world you created so that you can manage it? Sensation is freedom. You may notice sensations in the belly, gut, pelvis, hips. There may be a center experience here somewhere, a point of a center of gravity or a center of you. There may not be at all. If we go to the raw sensations, the raw data, then we may notice so many labels fall. Center, edges, heavy, light, intense, trauma, pain, guilt, grief, helplessness, hopelessness, shame. Sensation field does not hold these labels. It's not afraid of them. It just needs no labels. Also, this sensation field and or the energetic waves that carry this ocean it does not need any kind of validation. It's self-validating. Any seeking for validation we've ever done is merely because we forgot that self-validating, intimate experience that we were gifted when we found ourselves in an apparent body. As you recognize this sensation field in the torso, the chest, neck, head, shoulders, arms, hands, see if you can recognize that there actually are no boundaries between body areas, not in the sensations themselves. Further, you may notice that there's not actually a boundary between inside and outside. The sensations are where they already are, and where they already are has nothing to do with the world of time and space that we imagine. They're beyond ancient. They're truly unborn. We may also notice the contact point with the earth, or our feet on the ground. You may notice the energetics of this, where there's no differentiation between the feet and the ground. You're neither above nor below. Can you sense the earth beneath us as one energetic body, as one sense field? Only the mind will say you can't sense the trees around us, the buildings around us, the air around us, the ground below us. It leaves nothing out. This is the infinite nature of sensation. Perfect accommodation and unbroken contact. All times, all spaces, all iterations of reality. You cannot be lost here. Because here, here, here. You have 5 sense gates to remind you of this at all times. And you have this wonderful magician called consciousness. Just don't roughhouse with the magician too much, and it'll settle. Let it be what it is. Let thoughts be what they are. Equanimity is the way. Equanimity is the way here. It's your best friend in practice. Which means we don't push or pull on experiences. And if we don't push or pull on experiences, then we can really question whether we need to judge experiences at all. And when we see that we don't really have to judge experiences, we can see that we don't have to label experiences. And when we see that we don't have to label experiences, we can see that even pleasure and pain are subtle interpretations. And this is where we find the truth that form is emptiness, and emptiness is form.